This is a CBS 2 News update. I'm Mary Calvi. Another round of rain could make the storm cleanup from this weekend tough for people around our area. At least 8 cars were caught on video washing down the Peckham River in Little Falls, New Jersey. They were swept from a Route 46 dealership and piled up under an overpass Saturday night. People in the neighborhood also had massive flooding.
My house is done. It's just done.
Everything, all my belongings, everything is gone. Everything.
Severe flooding also affected downtown Caldwell. The town recorded some of the highest rain totals with just under 5 inches. What is coming next? Let's turn it over to John Elliott, who had flooding himself, right in your basement.
I'm out there, West Essex, had flooding in the basement. Bad news, Mary. Radar indicates already 5 to 6 inches of rain have fallen this morning in parts of Ocean and Monmouth County. In the city right now, 72 degrees. Want to show you what's going on. First off, you can see the heavier rain, and it's been a slow mover. Now pushing into more Monmouth County, you're seeing more rain fill in with these isolated thunderstorms over the sound into Westchester, Fairfield County. Even though you're not under an active advisory, you're still going to see some localized flooding, any kind of poor drainage or recent rain contributing to just too much. As far as the water table goes. This is the cell we're watching. I mean, this thing is brutal. Multiple reports of flooding, also 2 reports of water spouts. So there's a lot of spin in the atmosphere as well. So you can have wind damage and damage from flooding as well. They have expanded the flood advisory to include the city, also Middlesex, Monmouth County. It's a warning. This makes sense for active flooding right now for the Jersey Shore. And then you have this flash flood watch for more of the area. They've included the city, and we've got another round to deal with overnight tonight into the first part of your Tuesday. So active weather will continue. We'll be watching it right here. Mary?
John, thank you. A search is back on for a missing swimmer in Jamaica Bay, Queens. Police say a 35-year-old woman was swept away during high tide off Bayswater Point State Park yesterday. Police were called around 5 p.m. A witness recorded this video of the search yesterday, which was suspended a few hours later when it got too dark. Police say the woman's husband went into the water to help find her before emergency crews arrived. Several agencies are involved in the search, including helicopters in the air and dive teams in the water. Big damage for a tour bus from Washington, D.C. that struck an overpass at Newark Penn Station. The bus, operated by Liberty Coach of Pennsylvania, was nearing the end of its trip just before midnight when it hit the low-hanging overpass at the intersection of Edison Place and Alling Street in downtown Newark. Video shows just how mangled the bus was after impact. Part of the roof at the front appears sheared off. Windows were broken, sending glass raining onto the passengers. Some of those passengers described for us what happened.
Everything a mess, all crashed. The glass is like crashed and everything like falling down. People yelling, kids crying.
I'm sleeping and it was like sudden jerk, and I was in a shock, and everyone face is like bleeding.
At least 50 people were taken to area hospitals with minor injuries. And happening now, a hearing in Poughkeepsie to determine if a woman who admitted responsibility for her fiance's death can claim his life insurance. Angelica Graswald was accused in the drowning of Vincent Fiafor during a Hudson River kayaking trip in 2015. Graswald was charged with second-degree murder and second-degree manslaughter. She pleaded guilty to a lesser charge of criminally negligent homicide and released with time served in December. Now she stands to collect nearly $500,000 from Viafor's life insurance policies. Viafor's family is trying to block that. A Hamilton Heights man is recovering this morning after a brutal robbery caught on surveillance video inside an apartment building. CBS 2's Hazel Sanchez reports.
23-year-old Jeremias Luis is still shaken up with bruises on his lip and an achy neck after he was jumped outside his Hamilton Heights apartment Friday night. It was just before 10 o'clock. Surveillance cameras inside the apartment building on West 147th Street off Amsterdam Avenue recorded the suspect scoping out the lobby. Seconds later, Luis walks in and heads up to his second-floor apartment. The suspect, wearing sunglasses and carrying a backpack, follows the victim up the stairs, but then continues up to the 3rd floor, where video shows him removing a gun from his bag. He then heads back down and threatens Luis at his front door.
Sí, tenía mucho miedo.
Luis says he was terrified and prayed as he tried to fight off the armed robber, but the suspect put him in a chokehold, causing Luis to pass out on the stairs. The suspect then grabs the victim's phone, backpack, and wallet, including $1,000 in cash. Neighbors are worried for their own safety now.
I was panicked because I live within a few feet of where it happened, and I've never, even other people who were in the building had never heard of such a thing happening in this neighborhood.
The robber was wearing a white T-shirt with the words R.I.P. Youth on its front and a graphic of a tombstone with an upside-down house on the back. He was also wearing gray sweatpants and black sneakers.
Hazel Sanchez, CBS 2 News.
Police are still searching for the suspect. Luis was not seriously hurt and was treated at the scene by EMS. Serious health questions for Queen of Soul Aretha Franklin. Reports say the singer is seriously ill and surrounded by friends and family at a Detroit hospital. The 76-year-old has been dealing with health issues for some years. Following doctor's orders, Aretha Franklin has canceled several performances since last summer, including the New Orleans Jazz Fest in April. The singer also canceled a March 25th show in Newark that would have taken place on her birthday. A court hearing today for a New Jersey school superintendent charged with using a running track as a bathroom. 42-year-old Thomas Tremolini was arrested in April. Investigators say he was caught on camera after an early morning run at Holmdel High School's athletic facility. Police say the school was watching to see who'd been leaving human waste on the property. The Kenilworth superintendent has pleaded not guilty. He's resigned his position effective September 30th. And closing arguments are underway in the corruption retrial of the former head of the city's correction officers union. Norman Seabrook is accused of investing $20 million in union pension money in a risky hedge fund in exchange for a $60,000 cash kickback. Seabrook's first trial ended with a hung jury in November. Danger for drivers in Brooklyn after the city installs a new bus shelter, creating a blind spot on the road. There are now calls for safety measures before someone gets hurt. CBS 2's Rena Roy reports from Garrettson Beach.
Close calls that have drivers on the edges of their seats.
It's become almost a nightmare.
Cars barely missing each other because of this bus shelter recently put in on Garrettson Avenue near Avenue X.
You can't see anything past this bus stop. You pull up to here, and then you have to nose out and look each way, and especially when school's in session, it's very tough. I think it's very dangerous to have it there because it impairs the driver's vision.
We took a drive ourselves.
Yeah, I really can't see anything. I have to pull up all the way over here. There's a car coming, and there's a car coming from that side.
The second time around, same thing.
This car has to stop for us.
Back in April, the Department of Transportation moved the B31 and BM4 shelter from the sidewalk to this new pedestrian island on the other side of the recently created bike lane.
You gotta watch, you gotta be careful now. Other cars coming.
It's difficult for sure. I don't think it was the best idea.
Councilman Alan Maisel sent a letter to the DOT in June asking the department to look into it. Commissioner Polly Trottenberg responded more than a month later, saying the shelter is, quote, in full compliance with contract guidelines, adding the agency will conduct a traffic study at the intersection.
What do you think about the city's decision to put this in?
Terrible. Really terrible. They should have thought about it. Safety.
Well, the city does what the city wants to do.
The Department of Transportation says because of all the community concern, the agency is now reviewing this shelter to see if any changes are needed. The traffic study is expected to be finished this fall. In Garrison Beach, Brooklyn, Rena Roy, CBS 2 News.
We also reached out to the MTA for comment. We are still waiting to hear back. New York City Transit Chief Andy Byford is hosting an online chat with commuters. He'll be taking questions on Twitter beginning at noon. Byford wants to discuss the redesign of the Staten Island Express bus network, which is set to launch on the 19th. He held a similar question and answer session on Twitter back in March. In Health Watch, that strong cup of coffee today could leave you struggling to catch some sleep. Years from now, researchers at Seoul University found drinking 2 cups of coffee a day for 30 years could shrink the part of your brain that controls your sleep pattern. They performed MRI scans on more than 160 elderly, healthy people. They found coffee lovers experienced more problems sleeping and had smaller pineal glands. The smaller the size of the gland, the less melatonin it produces. And that's your CBS 2 News update. I'm Mary Calvi. Have a good day.